Millionaire Elon Musk shocks by revealing his son only passó because of a black beggar. The city was buzzing when Ethan Drake dropped the bombshell that shattered everything. Under the glaring lights of a packed press conference, the billionaire with a ruthless reputation stunned everyone. "My son," he said, voice trembling, "was conceived with Maya, a black, homeless woman I met one cold night." The crowd gasped, phones snapped, cameras flashed like lightning. Ethan's hand shook as he stared out at the sea of faces. How did this man, a titan ruling the tallest glass towers, a symbol of pure wealth, end up tangled with a shadow from the forgotten streets? Maya. The name was whispered like a ghost. There, in the darkest corners of the city, she had been invisible, scraping by under cracked streetlights, her skin weathered by hardship, eyes burning with a fierce, desperate hope. She wasn't just some side story. She had a past nobody dared to look at, a childhood stolen by Pov. Now, the world didn't just see Maya, they saw scandal, and Ethan, he was drowning in it. The headlines screamed, "Billionaires' hidden past, cities divide exposed, wealth meets despair." His enemies grinned, ready to tear him apart. His own empire trembled as whispers grew into roars. How could he risk it? Why drag his son's life through this? Inside the neon-lit streets, the divide between mansions and slums was a chasm as wide as the river. Glossy cars gunned past cracked sidewalks. Night screamed with sirens and silent prayers. Maya walked this line, clutching her son's small hand, trying to shield him from the cold eyes and harsher words. Her struggle was raw, the ache of not belonging, the weight of invisible chains that society wrapped around her and her child. Every step was a battle. The world saw her as nothing, but inside her burned a fierce love, a mother's will to fight. But secrets have a way of crawling out, like shadows at dusk. A relentless journalist started poking deeper. Clues flew from Maya's past, and whispers about Ethan's legacy tangled together in ways no one ever expected. Their lives were woven tight, a tapestry fraying at the edges. Ethan watched his son's innocent face swallowed by a storm he couldn't control. He felt the sting in his chest, the panic clawing up his throat. Protecting them felt like walking a tightrope over a fire. Then came the darkness. A former friend, who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Ethan, reappeared. Cold eyes glinting, words dripping poison. A chilling plan to ruin everything Ethan built, everything he cared about. The night grew colder. Ethan clenched his fists. What the hell did success mean now? Money? Power? Or something more? He looked to Maya, to their son, and everything he thought he knew cracked beneath the weight of truth and sacrifice. In a world built to keep them apart, torn by class and color and secrets, could the three of them stand strong? Could they rewrite the rules of a city that would rather see them fall? The questions hung heavy as a storm ready to break. Will their fragile bond survive the coming collapse? Or will the ghosts of their past drag them under forever? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The questions hung heavy as a storm ready to break. The weight of uncertainty tugged at Ethan's chest. He glanced at Maya, desperately searching her eyes for strength, for a flicker of hope. Just then, the oppressive silence shattered. A loud crack echoed through the press conference room as the sliding doors burst open. Everyone turned. A figure stumbled in, disheveled, breathless, wild-eyed. It was a young woman clinging to a crumpled piece of paper. "Ethan!" she yelled, her voice raw, straining against the hushed crowd. Ethan's stomach churned. He knew her, a voice from a past he wanted to forget. The room buzzed with questions and confusion. Is this some sort of joke? Ethan's former friend scoffed, smirking, leaning back with a gleeful glint in his eye. The young woman took a shaky breath, clutching the paper, her body trembling. "I need to tell you, it's about your son." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ethan stepped forward, heart racing. "What do you mean?" I found something. Proof. He's not who you think he is." Her words hung like a noose overhead. Ethan's pulse quickened, a lump forming in his throat. "What are you talking about?" The woman straightened, a fire igniting in her. "Your son, he's not just Maya's child. He's the lost heir of a powerful family. A family with secrets. Secrets that can change everything." Maya's face went pale. "What? That can't be." Her voice trailed off, disbelief written all over her face. But the woman pressed on. "There was a reason you and Maya met that night. The stars aligned, Ethan. All those years talking about the city's divide. This is what it really means." Ethan staggered back. Reality twisted. The crowd leaned in, stunned. Whispers echoed. What did this mean? How could it be? His son was supposed to be an innocent light. A bridge between lives that shouldn't touch. "Who are you?" Ethan demanded, his voice simmering with anger and desperation. "I'm Piper. I've been searching for the truth for years. Your son, he carries a legacy tied to power, deceit, and danger. They won't let him go. They'll come for him." Ethan's hands trembled, 1,000 questions crashing through him. "And you knew this all along? Why didn't you come to me before?" "I was afraid," Piper admitted, tears welling in her eyes. "People disappear when they get too close to the truth, and they'll stop at nothing to silence me. But I couldn't let it happen again. Not again. Not with another child. I need to get him out of here." Ethan's heart raced. The stakes were suddenly life or death. He shot a look at Maya, searching her for clarity. Fear filled the space between them like smoke. As if sensing the urgency, the crowd stirred, murmurs growing louder, questions firing like bullets. Ethan felt the walls closing in. The world he built trembled. Piper's resolve wavered. "You have to trust me. We're running out of time." With dread pooling in the pit of his stomach, Ethan sensed the shift. The fragile bond he believed in was now tangled in chaos and conspiracy. Could they truly protect their son from a world threatening to rip them apart? A loud crash echoed from the entrance. The lights flickered, shadows loomed large. The storm had broken. What lay ahead was uncertainty, deeper than anything he ever imagined. Would courage be enough to face the tempest? Ethan's heart raced as he clutched Maya's hand, ready to fight. But could they stand against the dark tide rushing toward them? Ethan gazed down the street, his heart racing with fear and uncertainty. The shadows lengthened as evening fell, but tonight was different. Tonight, everything felt surreal. He felt the weight of secrets pressing down on him, stifling. He clenched his fists, reminding himself that he had to protect Maya and their son at all costs. "Maya," he called, his voice barely above a whisper. She turned, her eyes wide with concern. But before he could say more, a sudden scream sliced through the murmurs of the crowd. Panic rippled like a wave, and everyone froze, glancing around. Out of the corner, a figure burst forth. It was a man with disheveled hair, face pale as a ghost. "Help! Someone! Please!" he shouted, his voice tinged with desperation. The crowd started to shift, a collective gasp rising like smoke. Ethan's heart raced. "What happened?" he called out, stepping closer, his instinct to shield those he loved sparking to life. "They've got her!" the man shouted, panic widening his eyes. "Maya! They took her! I saw it!" Ethan's world erupted. His name hung in the air like a curse. "What do you mean? Who took her?" He pushed through the throng, eyes darting, searching frantically for Maya. Everyone was moving, gasping, and he felt the tightening grip of fear around his chest. As he reached the front, he caught sight of a black van screeching away from the curb. Heart pounding, he turned back to the man. "Who took her?" "I don't know. I just saw them drag her inside. A group, and I think one of them knew her." The man trembled, words tumbling over one another. "She was talking to them just minutes before. They grabbed her like she was nothing." Ethan felt the world tilt under his feet. They knew her? Suddenly, a strange figure emerged from the crowd. A familiar face, one he had never expected to see again. His former friend, Max. But instead of support, a sinister smirk spread across Max's face. Ethan felt a chill creep down his spine. "You've got some mess, don't you, Ethan?" Max laughed, but it was laced with malice. "You should have stayed in your tower. Fitting in with the elite isn't for everyone." "What do you know?" Ethan's voice was low, a growl rising within him. Max shrugged, feigning indifference, but there was a glint in his eye. "Just didn't expect you to get tangled up with her." "Life's funny like that," Ethan's mind raced. "What are you saying? What do you want?" Max leaned closer, and the air turned icy. "Everything has a cost, Ethan. You've built your empire on lies, and it seems the truth is at your doorstep." Before Ethan could react, a nearby siren wailed, wrapping tight around them. Max stepped back, his laugh echoing. He turned to fade into the shadows, smirking one last time. "Good luck finding her, and good luck with your son. He might not be who you think." The words hit hard, like a punch to the gut. Ethan stumbled, grappling with the meaning. What did Max know? Who was his son really? A dark cloud gathered over him. Maya? Gone? And now this new threat lurking. Silence blanketed the street as he felt the weight of Max's words sink in, each one twisting like a knife. He turned to the onlookers, confusion painted across their faces, whispers growing louder. Could it be true? The question stung, and the night grew darker. The storm was ready to break. And Ethan felt himself teetering on the edge. Would he find Maya before it was too late? Would the truth destroy everything he thought he knew? A heavy silence descended, and Ethan felt it shift, the ground beneath him trembling with uncertainty. ... The reality was closing in, and he had to act. But at what cost? Ethan stood frozen, panic clawing at his insides. His mind raced. Maya was gone. The crowd's murmurs filled his ears, echoing with confusion and fear. He turned, eyes scanning the faces around him. Who had taken her? How could this happen? Every heartbeat felt louder, each second stretching painfully. He wanted to run, to tear through the crowd, but something held him back. It was like an invisible barrier, fear and uncertainty weighing him down. A sudden movement caught his attention. Piper, the woman who had burst in moments ago, was staring wide-eyed at the van speeding away. In that moment, something unexpected flickered across her face. A recognition mixed with dread. "Piper!" Ethan called, urgency brimming in his voice. "Do you know who took her?" I think so," she stammered, taking a hesitant step forward, her eyes never leaving the van. "I wasn't sure, but I overheard whispers. They tried to silence me before. If they have Maya, it's because of what she knows." "What do you mean?" Ethan felt his heart slam against his ribs. "What does she know?" Piper hesitated, biting her lip as she glanced at the disappearing van. "It's not just about you, Ethan. It's about your son. There's more to his story. More than you think. Stop playing games. Just tell me what you know." Desperation seeped through his words, his body vibrating with tension. "Your son." She paused, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's not just an innocent child. He's connected to a legacy tied to powerful families, people you wouldn't want to cross. And Maya, she's not just a victim in this. She has her own past, her own secrets." Ethan shook his head, reeling. "What are you saying?" "What's her past got to do with anything? She's just my..." His voice broke, realizing how little he truly understood about her. Before Piper could answer, a loud crash erupted from behind them. A figure stumbled into view, bleeding and gasping. "Help! Please! They're coming! They're coming for him!" It was another stranger, and panic flooded the air as they fought against the tide of disgruntled spectators. Ethan's heart raced. Who's coming for my son?" "Those powerful families!" the stranger cried, desperately trying to push through. "They'll stop at nothing. They want your son. They think he's the key." Ethan felt the ground drop beneath him. "No, this can't be true." But the stranger shook his head, eyes wide with fear. "You don't understand. Maya knew too much. They'll use your son to gain control. They'll hurt you all." A chill ran down Ethan's spine. He gasped, memories flooding his mind. Brief moments when Maya hinted at her own struggles. The way her eyes dimmed when shadows of her past clouded her thoughts. Suddenly, from the opposite end of the street, a black SUV screeched to a stop. The doors flung open. Men in dark suits swarmed out, eyes scanning the crowd like wolves on the hunt. Instinctively, Ethan stepped in front of Piper, his body tense, heart racing, ready to shield her. But before he could react, one of the men locked eyes with him. A chilling smile spread across his face as he approached. You've been digging too hard, Ethan. It's time to stop. Ethan held his ground, anger boiling within him. What do you want? I want you to understand that in this game, everything you think you know is wrong. The man's eyes glinted cruelly. And if you don't comply, well, let's just say your son won't be the only one in danger. You make your choice now. Blink! As fear gripped him, Ethan felt a surge of determination. But that resolve shattered when he noticed something. The man casually tossed a small device into the air, and before he could comprehend, it exploded in a flash of blinding light. Disorientation echoed through the crowd. Chaos erupted as people screamed and scrambled, losing sight of each other in the billowing smoke. Amidst the confusion, Ethan's vision spun, and everything went dark. Where was Maya? Where was his son? The world around him faded, leaving just a hollow darkness filled with terrifying uncertainty. What had he stepped into? Did the danger go deeper than he ever imagined? The questions hung heavy as a storm ready to break. But then, in that charged atmosphere, a noise erupted. A loud crash followed by voices shouting. The buzzing of cameras faded as gasps filled the room like a tidal wave. Ethan stumbled back, eyes darting toward the commotion. A figure burst through the crowd, sopping wet, hair matted against the skin of an old man soaked to the bone. "Maya!" he bellowed, a wild panic in his uneven voice. The name cut through the air sharper than glass. Time froze. Ethan's heart thudded. Who was this man? And why was he calling for Maya? The room buzzed, uncertainty curling around the crowd like smoke. Phones were raised, vibrating with anticipation. "Stay away from her!" Ethan shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Maya, who stood frozen beside him, confusion raging in her eyes. "Ethan, let him speak," she urged, confusion flaring into alarm. Took a moment to catch his breath. His old, crumpled coat clung to him like a second skin. The crowd parted for him, apprehensive eyes like a spotlight. "I know where your son came from," he gasped, flooding the air with dread. "There's so much you don't know. Maya, you have to listen." Ethan felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. The combination of terror and disbelief twisted his gut. What now? What truth was this man dragging to light? Maya's face paled, but she leaned in, curiosity overcoming her fear. "What do you mean?" The old man took a shaky step forward. "I've been searching for you for years. The night you met Ethan, you didn't just wander into his life. It was fate, or something much darker." He paused, the words catching like thorns in his throat. Ethan felt his heart race. Every instinct screamed to protect what was left of their fragile world. "Stop!" he yelled, his voice shaking like a leaf in the wind. "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" The man's laughter was hollow. "You have no idea what you've built with this life you created, how it's tied to ghosts you never acknowledged." Murans rippled through the crowd like an earthquake. Who was this man? What was he insinuating? Their son's future hung in the balance, yet doubts began to creep in. "Maya," the man continued, his eyes searching, pleading. They're coming for you. For him. They'll tear your world apart. They will use you and Ethan to keep the truth buried. You need to know who you really are, who he really is. The air turned electric, buzzing with whispers, fear and confusion entwined. The crowd leaned in, pulling closer as if they were woven into a single fabric. Suddenly, the old man clutched his chest, buckling to the ground, gasps of shock erupting like fireworks. Panic spread. "No!" Maya screamed, rushing to him. She knelt, her hands trembling, checking for life beneath the soaked fabric. Ethan's heart raced as he felt a presence behind him. His former friend, selected to torment him, slinking back into the shadows of the gathering like a predator watching. "Stop this!" Ethan roared, but the panic surged around him, a tide of voices chanting confusion and disbelief. As the old man lay motionless, a flash of something dark transformed Maya's expression from fear to something akin to recognition. "Please, don't," she warned, but it was too late. Their lives were already teetering on an edge, and as the weight of the truth sank in, Ethan wondered what else lay buried beneath his carefully constructed world. What if everything they believed was a lie? What if Maya's past held the key to unraveling all they fought to protect? The storm of uncertainty rumbled closer, and with it came the murmur of shadows. What now? What did it all mean? And who was truly in danger? Ethan's heart raced as the storm brewed inside him. He felt every heartbeat pulsing in his ears, drowning out the murmurs of the crowd. Protecting Maya and their son was his only focus, but doubt gnawed at him like a hungry beast. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside the conference hall, breaking his frantic thoughts. The door burst open. Chaos surged in like a wave. A flurry of voices filled the room as a disheveled figure staggered in, eyes wild. It was Maya, panting, her clothes torn, dirt streaked across her face. The crowd gasped. "Maya!" Ethan shouted, a rush of fear gripping him. He rushed to her, but the moment shattered. Her eyes darted around the room, searching, but not finding comfort. "Ethan, you need to listen. They're coming for us!" Confusion rippled through the crowd, murmurs spiraling into panic. "What do you mean?" Ethan's voice trembled, dread tightening his chest. "Who's coming?" Maya's hands shook as she gripped Ethan's shoulders, urgency crackling between them. "Not just anyone. The men who took everything from me. The ones who want our son. They know who he is." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, phones recording every moment, capturing the chaos unfolding in front of them. Whispers flew between them, eyes wide with disbelief. "What are you talking about?" Ethan pressed, not ready for this truth. Before she could answer, two men surged into the room. Dark suits, cold expressions, they scanned the hall like predators. The air thickened with tension. The crowd fell silent, all eyes glued to the newcomers. One of them, taller with a sharp jawline, locked onto Maya. "There you are. Thought you could hide forever?" Ethan stepped in front of Maya instinctively, fists clenching at his sides. "Who the hell are you?" The man smirked. "You're in over your head, Ethan. She was never meant to escape. You don't know what she's tied to. You don't know what she is." Ethan's stomach dropped. What did he mean? What are you talking about? He demanded, confusion morphing into anger. Maya winced, her eyes spinning with fear, and Ethan saw a flicker of something deeper, something dark. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered, backing away ever so slightly. But it's too late. They know about our son, Ethan. He's not just a child. What do you mean? Now dread was an icy hand on his heart, squeezing tight. The crowd watched breathlessly. So many eyes, so many questions. He's part of a bigger game. They'll stop at nothing. Her voice trembled, a mix of fear and defiance. I'm not who you think I am. The taller man stepped closer, a satisfaction curling at the corners of his lips. You see, Maya was chosen. She's connected to powers beyond what you understand. You think she's just a beggar? No, it's all a facade. Ethan's breath caught. He couldn't wrap his mind around it. What powers? Maya looked at him, pain etched on her face, tears glistening in her eyes. I wanted to protect you. I didn't want this life for our son. I thought I could escape. The world spun. Ethan felt lightheaded. He thought he knew everything, but the ground fell away. The truth loomed like a dark cloud, suffocating him. The men closed in, and the realization hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. Secrets, lies, hidden truths tangled together. Everything he built on shifted, crumbling beneath them. "Leave us alone!" Ethan shouted, but doubt flickered in him. Could he still trust Maya? Was their son truly safe? The questions hung there, heavy as a thunderstorm. Would everything they fought for be swallowed in darkness? And as the shadows gathered, the future of their fragile family hung in the balance. Ethan stood there, heart racing, the storm inside him a furious whirlwind. The crowd buzzed, 1,000 eyes digging into his soul, waiting for him to crack under the pressure. Just when it seemed he might, a commotion broke through the tension. A figure burst through the doors, a tall man with wild hair, eyes wide with fear. He pointed frantically, voice booming over the whispers. "Ethan, you need to come quick!" Everyone turned, breath hitching in their throats. It was Jake, Ethan's childhood friend, who had vanished years ago, swallowed by the chaos of their world. He looked different, worn, desperate, but he wasn't alone. Behind him, a woman stumbled into view, clutching a child. The child, Ethan's son. Confusion swept through the room like wildfire. Wasn't the boy safe? Why was he here with a stranger? Panic gripped Ethan's chest. "Stop! What's happening?" he shouted, each word laced with fear. The crowd, caught in the grip of shock, whispered among themselves, eyes darting between Ethan and the newcomer. Maya clutched her son's hand tighter, heart pounding with dread. She sensed danger, the air thick with unspoken secrets. "Ethan, your son, he's in danger," Jake gasped, his breath ragged. They're coming for him." "Who's coming?" Ethan's voice was a low growl, muscles tensed. "Ready to protect at any cost. People from your past. They've linked your name with hers." They know everything. Jake's voice trembled, but his eyes shone with a hard truth. They'll use him against you, Ethan. You've got to take him away. Ethan felt the ground beneath him shake. Every breath felt heavier. The walls started closing in, shadows stretching like claws. His son was in danger because of him, because of Maya. Then the stranger, the woman, spoke up. Her voice was steady, cutting through the din like a knife. You have to listen. It's not just them. There's more to this story. Your son isn't just your son, Ethan. The room held its breath. The world outside seemed to fade. Ethan blinked, the words hanging in the air like a loaded gun. What did she mean? A knot twisted tighter in his gut. What do you mean? He demanded, desperation creeping into his voice. He stepped forward, fists clenched, ready to confront whatever truth lay ahead. The woman's gaze was sharp, full of anguish and determination. He has a sibling, a sister. They're twins. Gasps erupted around him. Maya staggered back, horror reflected in her eyes. No! How could that be? Jake stepped in closer, voice urgent. This isn't just a family secret, Ethan. There's a whole network of people wanting to exploit this. They think your wealth can shield them forever. Panic roared in Ethan's ears. Twins? Could it be true? What had he unwittingly sewn into the fabric of their lives? Everything he'd built was suddenly fragile. Where is she? Where's my daughter? Ethan's words broke as he edged closer. We need to get out of here, Jake urged, eyes wide, glancing at the exits. They might already know where we are. The crowd buzzed with a mix of fear, curiosity, and judgment. Whispers spiraled, faces morphing into masks of shock. But at that moment, all Ethan could see was the look in Maya's eyes, horror mixed with an unyielding love that matched his own. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. The foundations of their lives shook under the weight of this newfound truth. They weren't just battling rumors anymore. They were tangled in a web of lies, family, and hidden histories. Ethan turned, desperation in his heart. We have to find her, but they'll come for us first. Maya grabbed his hand, fiery determination igniting in her. Then we fight together. But as they prepared to face an uncertain future, one thing echoed through the storm, closing in around them. What if who they really were was far more dangerous than they ever imagined? The unknown loomed large, and they were just beginning to step into the darkness. Ethan stood there, heart racing, the storm inside him, a furious whirlwind. The crowd buzzed, 1,000 eyes digging into his soul, waiting for him to crack under the pressure. Just when it seemed he might, a loud bang echoed from outside the conference hall, rattling the windows. Everyone froze. An explosion of noise, the kind that made the air thick and heavy. Panic rippled through the audience like a shockwave. Ethan's eyes darted to the doors. Maya! He shouted, turning back to her, but her expression had shifted. Fear flickered in her gaze, something deeper than the chaos surrounding them. Stay close, she warned, reaching for his hand. But as their fingers intertwined, a shadow loomed behind them. Jake, the man who had burst in moments ago, stepped back, his face pale. They're here! Before Ethan could question what he meant, a series of gunshots rang out, sharp and deadly, breaking the air like thunder. The crowd erupted in screams, chaos surfacing like a dark tide. People scrambled for exits, shoving and pushing, desperate to escape the nightmare unraveling. Maya, we need to go! Ethan shouted, adrenaline surging. But just as they turned, a surge of men in dark suits poured through the doors. The leader, the same cold man from before, eyes glinting with certainty, raised his hand, a cruel grin spreading across his face. "Ah, the family reunion, just as I imagined." Ethan's heart dropped. "What do you want?" he whispered, panic clawing at his voice. "Don't you get it?" The man laughed, the sound twisted. "You've awakened forces you can't control." Suddenly, another figure emerged from the chaos, a woman, face familiar, yet foreign. "No, you can't do this!" She was beautiful, with an intense look in her eyes. Something in her aura screamed danger. Maya's grip tightened around Ethan's hand as she recognized her. "Mom?" Maya gasped, disbelief flooding her features. The crowd fell silent, the ringing shock of the moment halting time. "I thought you were dead." Maya's voice shook, torn between relief and dread. "Not dead, my dear, just hidden. They've kept me away from you to control everything." Her mother stepped forward, eyes scanning Ethan and the child. "They think they can take what's ours." Ethan's world spun. "What do you mean, ours?" He felt the ground beneath him tilt. This woman was part of Maya's past in ways he never imagined, dragging them deeper into a history soaked in dark secrets. "Your son," her mother continued, voice thick with urgency. "He's half of something much bigger. They want to bend him to their will, a legacy they can't afford to let go." Maya's eyes widened. "No, it can't be, Mom!" But the shots had stirred the crowd into a frenzy again. The men in suits moved forward with determination, a threat looming overhead. Ethan's protective instincts surged. He couldn't let anything happen to Maya, to their son. As the tension soared, the room seemed to shrink around them. But pause! Liaform, ahead of the Acrux savage. They were all caught in a web they didn't fully understand, and in that moment, a piercing clarity hit. "Run!" Maya shouted, and without thinking, Ethan turned, pulling her close. But just as they reached the door, the woman's voice rang out, filled with despair. "Stop! If you leave now, you'll all be hunted. We can't go. It's a trap." Ethan halted, confusion gripping him tight. The words hung in the air like poison. They were tangled in a battle far beyond their control. "Mom," Maya pleaded, her voice raw. "What have you done?" In the chaos, the truth began to unfurl. The images surrounding them blurred as he processed the shocking reality that shook their lives. Just then, a loud crash echoed from above, and the ceiling began to crumble. Dust and debris rained down. Maya gasped, pulling her son close. "We can't let them take him!" And in that moment of despair, Ethan realized everything they believed was about to shatter. They stood at the edge of a reality that threatened to tear them apart entirely. Could they face the storm ahead, or would the rising tide consume them all? The ground beneath them shook, laying bare a question louder than any gunshot. Who were they really? And what were they willing to lose to protect the truth? Ethan stood there, heart racing, the storm inside him a furious whirlwind. The crowd buzzed, 1,000 eyes digging into his soul, waiting for him to crack under the pressure. Just when it seemed he might, a loud bang echoed from outside the conference hall, rattling the windows. Everyone froze. An explosion of noise, the kind that made the air thick and heavy. Panic rippled through the audience like a shockwave. Ethan's eyes darted to the doors. "Maya!" he shouted, turning back to her, but her expression had shifted. Fear flickered in her gaze, something deeper than the chaos surrounding them. "Stay close," she warned, reaching for his hand. But as their fingers intertwined, a shadow loomed behind them. Jake, the man who had burst in moments ago, stepped back, his face pale. "They're here!" Before Ethan could question what he meant, a series of gunshots rang out, sharp and deadly, breaking the air like thunder. The crowd erupted in screams, chaos surfacing like a dark tide. Ethan's protective instincts flared. He couldn't let anything happen to Maya or their son. Then, out of nowhere, their son's palms pressed flat against the chest of a nearby man, who stumbled back, eyes wide in shock. "Mom! Dad! I found something!" The boy's words cut through the confusion, a beacon in the storm. "What do you mean?" Ethan cried, desperation surging. "Look!" The boy thrust a crumpled piece of paper into the air. The room quieted slightly, eyes shifting toward the small hand raised aloft. The boy was flushed, excitement warring with fear. "Is that?" Maya stepped closer, eyes locked on the paper, recognition spiking her voice. "Yes, it's a map. It shows where they're hiding people. People like you and me," his son shouted. The crowd leaned in, whispers swirled like leaves in the autumn wind. "What people?" Ethan demanded, heart pounding. Before the boy could respond, the tall man from before stepped forward, his smile a snake's. "Enough of this!" He waved a hand, and the room chilled as if winter had swept through, filling it with dread. "Those are not just any people," he said slowly. "They're part of a legacy you weren't meant to uncover." A shock rippled through the audience. Ethan felt cold sweat trickle down his back. The crowd gasped in unison, eyes darting between him, Maya, and the boy. "Stay away from him!" Maya shouted, fiercely clutching their son closer. "Ah, but you should know by now, Maya. You were never meant to have him," the man jeered, his voice dropping to a hiss. "We have greater plans for your child," Ethan exploded, rage igniting from his gut. "What are you saying? He's ours!" The man laughed, dark and hollow. "Yes, but not in the way you think. Your son is not who you believe him to be, and neither are you." Ethan felt his stomach drop. He glanced at Maya. "What do you mean?" "Everything you thought was real is a lie," the man sneered, stepping back like a puppet master, showcasing his marionettes. Suddenly, the boy spoke again, his eyes wide, innocent. "I'm not just a normal kid. I have powers. They can't take me." The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Silence fell. Ethan staggered back, breathless. Maya's hand was trembling in his. What? What powers? And in one gut-wrenching moment, a figure sprung from the shadows. A face Ethan recognized all too well. Maya's mother. "They've been looking for you," she said, a catch in her throat. "You're the key to it all." "What do you mean?" Maya cried, eyes wide with disbelief and yearning. "You're not just connected. You belong to a lineage that stretches beyond you, Maya. Your son is the last hope in a war you can't even imagine." Ethan felt the world tilt, the foundations of their lives shattering. This wasn't just a storm brewing. It was a typhoon carrying everything he fought for into oblivion. Will you fight, or will you let them take your children? The words hung in the air, a dagger ready to plunge into the heart of their reality. Ethan clutched Maya's hand tighter, veins coursing with adrenaline. We will fight! But as the air thickened with uncertainty, a shadow draped over them, and the world spun, plunging them deeper into chaos. Everything they believed flickered like the fraying edges of a dream. What had they awakened? What were they truly fighting against? The unknown loomed ahead, darker than they ever imagined. Ethan stood frozen, heart racing, the tension thick in the air. Around him, chaos unfolded, with screams and confusion. The weight of revelations crashed down like a heavy storm. Maya's mother had stirred memories of a legacy that threatened to consume them all. Fight or lose everything, echoed in his mind. The men in dark suits moved closer, their intentions clear. He felt every pulse thrum in his veins as he looked at Maya, her eyes wide with fear, yet alight with determination. Together, Ethan whispered, squeezing her hand. They had to stand strong against the tide. But as chaos erupted, Jake shouted, "Now we need to go!" Ethan's instincts kicked in. Maya's mother grabbed the map from their son's small hands. "Follow this! It leads to safety, but we have to hurry." Heart pounding, Ethan surveyed the room. The crowd, gripped with panic, was slowly starting to disperse. He caught a glimpse of their son, who was now drawing a protective circle around Maya. In that fleeting moment, it struck him how precious their family was. Then, a loud crash threw Ethan against Maya. He stumbled, fire igniting in his chest. Voices of the crowd grew distant. It was now or never. "Follow me!" he roared, voice resonating through the noise. He darted toward the exit, dragging Maya and their son behind him. They burst through the doors, breathless. Outside, night had descended, shadows stretching across the pavement. Ethan spotted a bus idling nearby, just the escape they needed. "Get on!" he yelled, ushering Maya and their son onto the vehicle. Just as he turned to follow, the man in the suit appeared in the doorway. "Ethan," he snarled, voice dripping with venom. "You can't run forever. We'll find you." "Not today," Ethan shot back, determination surging through him. He slammed the door shut and turned, locking eyes with Maya. "We'll figure it out, together, right?" she breathed, clenching their son's hand. Relief washed over him in gentle waves. The bus pulled away, fading into the night. The sound of sirens echoed, closer now, but Ethan felt something shift within him, the burden lifting. Hope flickered for the first time in days, illuminating the dark. "We'll uncover the truth," Ethan vowed, heart steadying. "This legacy, this fight, for us, for him." Their son looked up, bright eyes wide, a spark of innocence amidst the turmoil. "Are we going to be okay?" "Yes, buddy," Ethan whispered, steadying, hugging him tightly, warmth spreading like sunlight. "We're going to be okay." As the bus rumbled down the road, Ethan stole a glance back at the city they'd left behind, filled with secrets and shadows. A world that tried to divide them, but had only forged an unbreakable bond. "Whatever comes next," Ethan said, voice filled with conviction, "we face it as a family." Laughter bubbled up from their son, his joy infectious, slicing through the anxious air. They would keep fighting. They'd uncover the truths buried in their past. They'd protect their future. But in the back of his mind, a question lingered. Could they truly trust themselves? There was still so much to unravel in the fog of mystery that loomed ahead. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next gripping chapter of this saga. Smash that like button to help us reach even more fans and flood the comments with your thoughts and theories. This is the moment you can show your support. Share this video with 5 friends who need to see this ending. This is your moment. Don't wait even a second longer. Get involved.